Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath. I have a quick message for you. They had other people who they thought that they could control who are actually in control of them or controlling them. Sometimes I get a question from clients regarding why people that are showing up as divine masculines or emperors or kings in their life, whatever, the main male perspective person or archetype in their life. And people ask me, why did they walk away? They were so controlling over our dynamic in our relationship, and they were so in control of so many other areas of their life, bosses, CEOs, people that actually have a real position, even if they're just crackheads. They're leader crackheads. Okay, so you name it, you figure out where you fit. And what I have seen time and time again is there's a couple of things that could happen. People will clout chase, and they will go to the place that strokes their ego the most, take a slice of the devil's pie, or they will get manipulated by other people that have their same spirit. Like attracts like. So even if you are a good person and that's not what you trafficked in, they will go to someone else, and they will go to them under the guise that they're in control of them, that they're controlling them, when they're being probably outwitted. More than likely, I put my money on it, by someone who is slyer and more cravenous and more wicked than them. But that is their karma for not standing up and really being a man or in masculine energy. So please understand that's what happened. They thought they were in control. Maybe it's, we've talked about this, a woman with really masculine energy who's chasing them. They're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Maybe it's another situation where it's a group of friends that are in their ear and giving them a lot of validation and clout. And they're used to that. If they're in control and power, they're used to people agreeing with them and going along and it being the emperor hour at all times. It reminds me of Ace off of Casino, when Ace started to get his own show and he got really full of himself, and the heads of the families in the mafia were sending people to talk to him and telling him to essentially chin check him and telling him to get his stuff together, because he was putting a lot of heat on them by being grandiose, larger than life, by talking so much. Even though it was just a fun little show and it was supposed to be vanity, he had to get kind of reined back in. And Ace is a hero of that movie, but everybody can succumb to hubris and ego. So some of you guys had people that were good people that you used to know, or people that you were really connected into, and people you really liked. But they started to get full of themselves. They started to do it for the likes, right? Do it for the subscribers. They started to do it for the clout. What did Offset say? What did Migo say? They'll do anything for clout. They started to do it for that reason, and it was no longer about your union. So this person who was quite controlling over many things in the past now starts to be absolutely manipulated by other people, and it's sad, but it's exactly what it needs to happen as a karmic balance. Don't feel sorry for them. And excuse me, a lot of you guys don't feel sorry for them. You probably were hurt because you thought, how could someone come in and manipulate you when you're so manipulative? Or how could someone come in and turn your energy against me? How could you be so controlled? Or how could someone create a self-fulfilling prophecy? Let me explain. Some of these people that were around the people that were your person, when they were in a higher vibration, saw that and they wanted that. That's what happens. Okay, that's why when you never, have you ever not been in a relationship for a long time, you get in one and all of a sudden everybody's sitting on you and you're like, where did this come from? Where was this when I was single? Because divine feminine, when we pour into people, we raise their vibration, we raise their energetic stock. And so it's like they're up on the market and people want to buy in. It's NASDAQ. You got it? So you made them shiny and new. And even if you're not a divine feminine, you don't identify with that. Have you ever been married to somebody and then they have an affair, etc., etc.? The same scenario. So we've all had this experience. So someone else cleans up somebody, they look amazing, and that person's usually very much in control in your dynamic, even though you are helping to energetically and empathetically feed them. So they're now shiny and new. The other person's like, I'm going to take them from you. I love this. This is fantastic. And so they will easily yield a lot of their power because the payoff is very great in the beginning hours of the manipulation, just like any con. Like think of Dare, where they were teaching us. I remember being in school where they would teach us that the drug dealer would give you just a sample of drugs for free before they actually charge you, which is actually unwritten drug policy, apparently, if you watch any drug movie, right? So people do give you a little touch of something, and that's the slice of the devil's pie. So the person that you were like, no, they would never abandon me. Oh no, they could never be talked into believing that I was the bad guy, is easily talked into that because the devil takes his pound of flesh right in the beginning and lets them buy in. And when they buy in, the trick is for them to see themselves lose power, because some of these men, some of these masculines, and people that were in your life were so used to being in the position of power that it was the only way that they saw themselves. And what I mean by that is it was they have their own lesson to go on, and it was about humility. Okay, so they thought they were in control in the beginning, and that's exactly how the devil wants it to be. The devil energy wants you to think that you have control over a thing. I don't care. And listen, guys, this goes for us too. From any addiction to anything that we overdo, at first we are in control of it, are we not? And then it will take control of you if you're not careful. Well, if you have an addictive personality, or if you need a lot of attention, or if you have no self-esteem, and a lot of these people that we may have fed into were all of those checks on the boxes, and they easily then got into it. Now let's talk back about that self-fulfilling prophecy. So they give a pound of flesh to a very low vibration energy, who now wants to convince them that you are devoid of loyalty. You are not devoid of loyalty, but you are filled with your own internal care and pride, which is growing and growing. The more the person that was once by your side turns you into their enemy. So we start to shift, and you start to look at them. They start to behave shifty. You start looking at them as shifty. You start covering your bases and protecting yourself because you can tell they're shifty. When you're going through betrayal, your women's intuition heightens, feminine. When you're going through betrayal, your psychic intuition heightens. You become more spiritually aligned. You pay attention to vibrations because you're no longer getting something from the person that was the masculine in your life, which was clear communication. You're getting subterfuge and gaslighting. You're getting confusion, Two of Swords energy if you read the tarot. You're getting sleepless nights, Nine of Swords, and you're getting anxiety. Eight of Swords, you're getting PTSD, Nine of Wands. Look at the cards, look them up if you just heard what I said and you're interested and understand. So Nine of Wands is associated with Sagittarian energy. Incidentally, your once emperor and king, K-A-N-G or K-I-N-G, your once emperor, your king, your zaddy, your person that was once very in control and regal and did things properly, is devoid now and defunct and living in the vibration of unhealed lower vibrational Sagittarius energy. This is a known thing, if you're a reader, that Nine of Wands is associated with PTSD. It is associated with the wounded healer or the wounded warrior, which we evolve and transmute into becoming the wounded healer. So that Sagittarius energy, any minor wand, Knight of Wand, or the number Nine of Wands, is about someone who takes their energy everywhere and flips it about, and they spread themselves out, meaning they cannot be stable, meaning they're easily manipulated. Not Cain and Abel, but Samson and Delilah. So if you guys know your Bibles, Samson and Delilah is a power dynamic. This is exactly what happens. Maybe I'll put this in the title. I'm channeling it as I'm saying it to you. This was not what I thought I was going to talk to you about, but thank you, angels. Samson and Delilah is a power dynamic that your masculine gave his energy to. Delilah is a temptress. Delilah is beautiful. They were having great sex. Amen to the third power. Maybe some of you guys want to hear it. It's triggering. PTSD, Nine of Wands. If you guys were triggered, that's what just happened. But whatever happened is that the devil said, look at her breasts, look at what's next, look at the endless possibilities. And they convince your person to divest. Now, the betrayal, the seed of Judas was always in them, okay? But here's the thing, guys, that is true for me and it's true for you. The seed of Judas is in us too, because we are all part of humanity. We all can turn on somebody. We just don't. That's what sets us apart. We actually won't. We'll stick in the trenches when they're dragging us. We are connected and tied behind the Mack truck, which is their testosterone, their lust, and their passions. And we're on a chain behind them. And many of us tether ourselves to them, trying to save them from behind the chain while we're getting ate up and turn into hamburger meat on the road. And they are driving full force into the thing that is the big no and was the test. Okay, so when they do the Samson and Delilah, Samson was strong, he was beautiful, Samson had great hair. Samson, maybe some of these traits are true of your masculine energy too. Samson had it together. Samson was renowned, but he started to indulge and come into that temple and drink and imbibe and put his head in Delilah's lap. This is pillow talk. This is how they're able to fill their head with the self fulfilling prophecy. You know that divine feminine you're with, she's not like me. I think she'll turn on you someday. I don't know why. I just get the feeling. Now, listen here. Your masculine is used to having you give them premonitions. They're used to you feeding them. They're used to you communicating with them and letting them in to insights that are spiritually aligned. In fact, you taught your masculine energy how to tap into a spiritual side or life. So they are familiar with this. You very much bottle fed them the next level of their spirituality. So it is normal to them to go then to a Delilah and put their head in her lap because they're used to this energy. Now they are waking up and they think, oh, this is feminine energy, except she's doing extra. She's running and chasing after me. She's seeking me out aggressively. Where my feminine energy back at the farm, back at the house, back at the other part of my secret life is just patiently either waiting for me or working on her own energy, building business, taking care of the family. You name what you did, right? Holding down the fort in this regard, but they're loving me and nourishing me. And God, that's so boring. This woman's working hard and she's giving me quote unquote spiritual insights about a betrayal that might come from my divine feminine in the night. Now, this is a self fulfilling prophecy. Delilah has made that person vulnerable, but they gave it away free. You understand? We're not going to put that much power in the karmic, that's what Delilah was, in the karmic's hand to say that she had all of the ammunition. That seed of Judas that was within your masculine was activated by the indulgence. So addictions go hand in hand with the betrayal and the release of a relationship or a relationship fail from a masculine to a karmic. That is a bedrock, is addiction. Because if they can keep your person inebriated, your person, which I quote loosely, because who belongs to anybody at that point? Do you guys understand how that works? They can keep your person inebriated and intoxicated, then they can pillow talk into their ear, and then a mess of havoc, of word witchery. And this is what it's called in the business. It's called conflict magic or conflict chaos, okay? So they do spells, which is literally anytime we speak is a spell. So they do spells with their words. Their tongues are wicked, forked. Do you understand? Jezebel spirits and succubus energies are fantastic at using their sexual and their word witchery in order to manipulate the great and powerful masculine energies out of their position because men love to give that away. We are all sexual people, but we're also people that enjoy pleasure. Everybody, you too listening, you are too. We just operate differently than others do. So their heads now in Delilah's lap. Delilah, and he starts talking about what takes his power because he's so used to, because of the work you've done with your masculine energy, giving away, not giving away his secrets, but communicating. Because what do we do? Empaths, earth angels, and divine feminines, we act as therapists to a lot of our masculine energy. We're healing familial wounds and pathology. We're connecting them with ancestors that are on this earth and that are not. We are helping dredge up things that they would rather have forgot, but we're doing it in the name of healing. So we have accustomed them to that kind of connection. When they get into the lap of Delilah, they think, ah, perfect, smoking hot convection with more, this time with more sex, or this time with crazier sex, or this time with more drugs, or this time with embezzlement or scams. Whatever it is that makes your man, your masculine energy, feel a way, the devil is like, I come to play, and the devil comes to play with the best buffet. So there's literally a smorgasbord. I love the archetypal and metaphorical lesson here. If you're reading and dealing with Samson and Delilah, what you have to understand is that there was abundance of wine and Delilah was feeding him specifically. Now this goes to people that are dealing with the other darker side of this, which is spell work, actually, where people are utilizing their bodily fluids inside of foods and putting putting roots on people, if you will. That's a whole nother thing. It's a little taboo, but it's a thing that happens. But if someone is feeding your person and they're cooking for them and whatever, and they're low vibrational, beware. But even if they're not doing any of that, what they are doing is pretending that they care long enough to get their secrets. That is the power of Delilah. And she keeps it. She doesn't let anybody know that's her power. So she takes from Samson what's his power. Samson's power was his hair. So you are a representation of the hair. If we can cut the hair off of Samson, we can then weaken him to the point where he will be beholden to us, and it will be in me, Delilah, that he trusts. No longer God and no longer in his feminine. And I will tell him, she's going to betray you. It's going to come. I can see it. I don't think she's really that good of a friend to you. They'll use whatever. In my case specifically, there was a spanner in the works about racial identity that was thrown in. The Delilah that I dealt with, and I did spiritual warfare with, used that as a weakener, because that was the seed of Judas that was always within my quote unquote person. You get it? We all have a thing. Doesn't mean that they weren't trying to rise above it, but it does mean that they absolutely succumbed to it and allowed themselves to be talked into believing abject craziness, which I can't even fathom. Now, what I will say is this: when they're in that position and Samson's hair starts to get cut, that's when the Delilah is separating them, right? And because what the power was Samson's hair. So that means that if you're out of there or the hair is out of there, whatever the proverbial hair is, then now it will be a weak Samson only in Delilah's care, and the codependency now tether begins. Now let's go back to the beginning. They were the one that was controlling, and then they ended up getting duped by people that were actually controlling them. Here's the con. Here's the pull. Back to casino. Samson and Delilah. Ginger is Delilah. Interestingly enough, there's a part where Ace talks about Ginger walking into the room, and he says she's marking everybody. She sees everybody as a mark as soon as they walk into the room. The Delilah energy, the succubus energy, Jezebel spirit energy, third party energy, the person at the workplace, the proverbial affair, all that stuff, they've marked your partner, your masculine, the second they got in there. They knew what they were going to do. They were smarter than them. No one was controlling them. They were in control the whole time. At the end of it, I must say, I had to give accolades to the person that duped mine, my person, because very not intelligent but cunning. Feminine wiles are something, aren't they? So I will tell you, that is what you are watching happen. Now, that's my story, but it's also your story too, and it's a lot of the stories of the clients that I work with every day too. This is what's going on. So if you're very confused, it's like, how do they turn against me? And I don't get it. How do they give away their power? That was a word that I used a lot in the beginning before I very much understood it fully. Why I was watching someone give away their power. Well, they're doing that because they were getting a payoff sexually, energetically, drugly, scammily, cloudily, whatever. You fill in the blank for what your person's into. Unfortunately, my person was greedy and slovenly and was into it all. Wanted the smorgasbord. And the devil did come to call, and he was like, oh, got you. Got him. And so then the head's now in Delilah's lap. She is taking the power and taking the power back. See, it's a power switch, it's a power play, but here's the full 360 of it. It's the same thing that perhaps your distorted masculine was doing to you anyway. Turnabout is fair play. Karma has to happen. And even as much as you hate that third person, they actually showed them exactly the vibration that they were trafficking in. Message. So that's what happened. They thought they were controlling them, but they were being controlled. Then they end up beholden to them. Samson shows up in the palace, and he's having to lift things and do things because he was renowned for his strength. Until one day he hears the Spirit of God, and he starts to let his hair grow back a little bit, and he stands between the pillars, and in order to destroy it, he has to destroy himself. It is such a powerful metaphor of getting away from our addictions, even if it kills us. He killed himself in the rubble and pushed the pillows apart to throw down that temple that housed Delilah's heart, that tore him asunder from his God, tore him asunder from his feminine energy, tore him asunder from his calling and the masculine he was meant to be, tore him asunder from his family, tore him asunder from his respect, tore him asunder from his daily checks. People lose their jobs, they lose their lives, they lose their freedom, they lose their teeth. Teeth, guys. I've seen people lose their teeth dealing with a Delilah where they thought the poom poom was free. There is a cost for everything. Samson is no longer a king, but he had an opportunity to make a choice. And instead of listening to the feminine's voice, he listened to the sweet siren song of Delilah. And now everything is irreparably changed. He cannot go back. Things will never be the same. And I feel like I'm channeling a great sadness and an emptiness in that. Some of your masculines do want to come back. Y'all know what I'm going to say. That's not my story anyway. But I feel sad. And if it was my story, that I wouldn't even allow the sadness. Y'all know I'm like karate chopping any effery any day. But what I'm telling you is that I got to tell you what I feel called to say. I'm always obedient to listen to my angels. Some of your masculines wish that they could come back. They get it now. They regret it. They understand. They really do. They get how much and how deeply by betraying what they thought easily was just betraying you was really betraying them. They lost everything. And now they are subjugated. A lot of people are like, oh, they're stuck with the karmic and they can't leave. No, what happens is you get into a connection. Anybody can leave anything, but all of us know that sometimes getting into relationships, we don't want to leave just because it's a lot of work and whatever. There are many reasons, and that doesn't have to be any big karmic story. It could just be, but it's not that they're stuck. It's that they know that that's what they deserve because those are the seeds that they sowed. They invested into that, just like you invested into them. And you think, but wait a minute, Monette, but I'm not with my person. I'm not with my man. How come my investment didn't come true? Your investment did. There's a real emperor and the king on the way to you. Message. I promise you. Girl, trust me. I promise you. You will get exactly your right boo. Release a connection. That was a lesson. Because anybody that can be manipulated by Delilah will never be your blessing. Now, that's all of the altruistic kind things I'll say. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty dirt so that you can really enjoy your day. Because I know you guys. They will miss you crazy. They will miss you daily. They will compare you infinitely. They will call you baby in their dreams because they cannot dare say it out loud because they are dealing with a shrill person that screams. Think of Amber Heard. That's Delilah. Got it. Thank you guys. Amber Heard is Delilah. She comes in like a siren, physically good looking, sexually free, taking off your boots, waiting on you hand and feet, and then she's telling you what a piece of shit you are while she shits your bed, while she steals your cars, while she drinks $500 bottles of wine, 17 at a time, while she sleeps with people around you and gaslights you and says, I didn't hit you, I hit you, but I didn't hit you, I just hit you. I dare you to say you, sweet masculine, got hit by pretty old me. Who's going to believe you? She's slashing tires. She's crazy making. She's all of the revenue that they were once making. She's taking. Amber Heard is Delilah. If you want to know what your masculine is, quote unquote, stuck in, it's his karma. It's what he deserved. It's what he gets for not understanding your worth until he had to go through some spiritual journey. But it's where you parallel each other, actually. It's where the mirror holds up energetically because you didn't know your worth either, Divine Feminine, until you went through the front side of the spiritual journey. The message and the benefit is we go through it first. We learn our worth first, and it's by divesting. We mirror our Samson as he pulls down the pillar, and we as he pushes the pillars apart to destroy the temple, and that temple is our heart. Many of us left our masculines and we broke our own heart. Imagine you putting a hand on each part of the inside of your heart and tearing it apart to leave a relationship because you knew that only destruction was going to come if you stayed in it and you were going to be a lesser version of yourself. That's why Samson said, I'd rather be in hell than to be subjugated as a slave, to have given my power away. Your masculine will do that eventually someday, or maybe he won't. But or your masculine that you used to know, I should say. But here's what you do need to know is you did it first, and you did it boldly and bravely. Guess what, divine feminine? You're the badass. Truly, you're the leader. Actually, you're the emperor and the empress, both divine feminine and masculine energy. Quick, ridiculous note. I was doing my toes, and I decided to do pink and blue for the archetypal masculine and feminine energy in me and you. And that's what I decided to do, just as a representation. I don't know why. We all do our nails in different ways. And as I was baking them, because I did them in gel, I was looking down and I was like, oh, bloody hell. This is exactly how the cookie crumbled and fell. I finally figured it out. I've integrated both my masculine and feminine. That's what it was always about. In order to tear apart your own heart, to escape a situation so that you don't break, you have to tap into your masculine energy. If you don't give a damn, I don't give a because that's masculine energy. King of Swords, more cerebral, more mercurial, more strategic, more of a general. The Empress loves and is nurturing. That's the overabundance of care you gave to that masculine. So much so that they took it for granted. And when the sweet, excuse me, ooh, I can't even talk without burping about Amber Heard. The Amber Heard in my life. When the sweet whispers of Amber Heard came into the night and they thought, oh man, this one's going to do me right, they ended up like Johnny. Samson ended up like Johnny. For the world to see how he gave away so easily an empire to a demon seed. Message, message, message. But I think a lot of us are watching sympathetically because we're like, yeah, Johnny, you participated and you definitely clicked into some of the effery, but you are not actually crazy and led by demonic energy. We know that Amber is. If they're stuck there and they had kids there and they betrothed themselves to that, then they have karma that it has past life energy that has nothing to do with you. You're not supposed to try to get them back. Don't stay in the trenches. Don't stay in the fight for someone who gave away their life and wanted to control you. Because the thing about it is most of the masculines we were dealing with weren't being kind to us in any capacity as we were in relationship with them. They were not being kind to us. In fact, they were barely treating us like we were their friend in the end because they had another woman advising them that we weren't. And that became self fulfilling prophecy. When you tore your own heart apart, feminine energy, it's the last thing you wanted to do. You and I know that. They'll never know that. It's the last thing you wanted to do. When they took you for granted and they were like, you're always going to stay, you're always going to let me get my way, you're always going to let me run over you and treat you any kind of way and deal with you when I feel like it. It was the last thing though. But it was interesting because similar to Samson, as his hair starts to grow, his power starts to regenerate. In the absence of love and in the presence of their fake energy, we were growing our spiritual strength quietly. When I left, I know for the masculine energy in my life, it was a shock. And they said so. I was very fortunate to get all of the intel that I needed. You know, a lot of people never have quote unquote closure and they never whatever, whatever. Narcissists love to leave you with that. Because I played it very slyly, interestingly enough, I played it and I was a general. I was very much in my masculine energy when I divested from my toxic person. I got everything I needed because I knew that once we were in the throes of the real battle of war, when they realized what was going on, I would never get any of it because that was their favorite tactic. And it is the same for a lot of narcissists and toxic energies where they're playing the silent game. You guys know what I'm talking about. The silent treatment is their favorite thing. So I was like, we're going to do this on the front end, dummy. Since you've given away your power, I'm going to take the last of the intellect energy that's left and we're going to just take care of this front end. So I did get to hear the masculine person in my life with the masculine energy tell me about the disbelief that I left, the feeling of abandonment that was created as they gaslighted me when they had a whole separate life, family, and were living with Amber Heard, Delilah, and they were sharing more than just words. Okay, so it was an interesting thing, but they said specifically this, and this is what I want you to hear. I thought you would never leave. So what they did, that was culpability. If we're doing a trial in lawyers, actually, she was saying to me, my masculine energy was feminine, a feminine person, but they were saying to me, "Oh, I thought I was going to get away. Let me translate that. I thought I was going to get away with this forever. I was in control of you. It felt good, and I was careless with you, and I actually didn't really like you. I actually really wasn't invested in you, especially in the last couple of years. I just kept you here because I don't like to be lonely, and you're a security blanket, and it makes me feel crazy when I don't have a security blanket and someone always coddling me or coaxing me or rubbing my long beautiful hair. Samson energy. You guys get it? And so I thought that I could just treat you like shit and keep you here while I turned this new person into you and taught her all the wonderful things that you do, and then made her also hate you so that it was two against one, because when I'm not feeling strong, I really like to gang up on people because my insecurities are rampant. I really didn't think you would leave. I thought that you never understand it. I can't believe you're going. What do you mean I can't continue to trample you? What do you mean that you're secretly knowing? I'm confused. That's what my masculine energy was saying to me, thereby admitting complete culpability to the game that was being played the whole time right under my nose. Now I knew, and most of you do too, because our intuition goes to 20, and that's why I tore apart my own heart to set myself free. It did not tear their heart apart. Know this too. When you leave, your masculine energy doesn't give a about you. It's early, so I'm trying not to curse so much. Your masculine energy doesn't give a damn about you guys. And I know that's hard to hear, trigger, but listen here, it's the truth. And if you know that, it's going to give you the ability to do what you need to do and to divest. They do not care about you because they are invested into Delilah. It's Amber time, and it's beautiful over there. And they think that she's going to provide them with the sweetest of care. Spoiler alert, pay attention to the trial. We all see how that ends. It ends with the masculine losing actual dividends, money, opportunities, and respect. The way that people see them is deflected. It's what happens when a Delilah comes up is that it's almost like one of those, when people like used to sunbathe and they would have that like foil thing that they put, because that's before people cared about skin cancer, but that thing they would put to like make the sun more reflective. An Amber Heard or a Delilah is reflective. They soak up all of the energy and they blind the masculine energy. And it's done willingly, though. Guys, don't feel sorry for them. They give that power away. They say, please strap this to my face so I can never see the reality of a thing, please. And then funnel some drugs, sex, and whatever else in. So they do that. And then the rest of the world starts to see them distorted, too. So if they're blinded by the sun that's on their face, think about that thing on somebody's face. You can't see them clearly. They look hyper over, what's the word, overexposed. Oh, thank you, angels. They get overexposed. So all of the things that no one used to know about them, think about what's going on in the trial with Johnny. Thank you, angels, for this message today. Think about what's going on. None of us knew that about Johnny. He was just our favorite actor's favorite actor. He was our favorite actor. He was a man of a thousand faces. He was Edward Scissorhands. He was What's Eating Gilbert Grape, a brilliant tour de force. If you've never seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I'm dating myself. He was 21 Jump Street with all the swagger and sweetness with Holly P. He was Holly Robinson Pete. He was not too good on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That wasn't my favorite of his, but he was a lot of things that meant so much to me. When you saw Johnny, he was Captain Jack Sparrow. When you saw Johnny, you knew that the range was incredible. How did this guy from Kentucky come out with no accent and actually sounds like he was a thespian that was raised in some European country? I don't know, but it's because he had a destiny. And all of the cocaine and all of the debauchery and all of the things that he did quietly, and even his pathology and his issue with his mother. Message here too. Your masculine usually has a mother wound. They have an issue with women. And so you're in there and put in their life as an assignment to heal them. And what will happen is, if they are refusing the healing or they're being superficial with it, they will go to the Delilah who mimics it, but is really exactly the broken place that they left with their mother, which is exactly what Johnny did with Amber Turd. So understand that you were sent in their life to actually show them their worth and heal that mother energy. They reject that because what's familiar to them is crazy. Do you guys get it? A lot of you guys are blaming yourself, like, what did I do? Nothing. You were the sweetest, kindest, healing persons. They went exactly back to what was familiar to them, which was poverty, craziness, unpredictability, just like Johnny did. A multi-millionaire picked Amber out of thin air after having several relationships with people where he wasn't perfect in them. He was jealous, he was interesting, he was unavailable, he was an addict, sure. But the overexposure happens when you stand next to Delilah. That's how you know your person has hooked up with the Delilah, is they are overexposed. Now we know all his business that we didn't ever know, that we didn't need to know, but that's exactly what Amber wanted to happen. Those are the seeds that a deceptive Delilah sows. And here's the deal. Johnny willingly gave his power and his energy to her because in the beginning he thought, I'm older. I am the Johnny Depp. People die to be with me. We all have ego. And even though he's a sweetheart, as many of us can see now as we're watching the trial, he still has that ego, right? Like we all do. And Amber played right on it and into it until she was like, by the throat, I will grab you. There was a whole dissertation about the throat where she was trying to bait him into being abusive with her because it's her favorite thing, because of her crazy and the crazy that she likes to bring. And also because she probably wanted to record it for this, for spectacle. That's another thing. Delilah is setting your person up and it will be broadcast. You know, back in the day, they used to say the revolution will be televised. The devolution of your masculine will be televised. That karmic in their life will actually put their business out in a way you never would have. If you guys are healing and talking and doing a lot of things that I have, I did this here. I did this apart from them completely. I didn't ever do it in our relationship. Actually, never would have. Ever, ever, ever. Loyal to a fault. But as I was having to transmute the energy and clear out my heart, then my story, my trauma, my power is in my voice and my throat chakra to speak it. Because narcissistic energy, masculine has turned into that. Toxic energy wants you to keep it hidden, keep it a secret. So they no longer, now that they're not in control and it's flipped in reverse, get anything kept a secret. They lost control over that completely. They have an Amber that's a Delilah that is broadcasting freely to the world. Overexposure. Back to the sun visor. So now the world sees him differently. That's what we watch happen with Johnny in the first 5 years, where he lost everything. He couldn't get contracts. Nobody cared. They looked at her and they said, she obviously is a victim. That's exactly the same setup that your masculine is in. So when people say they're stuck, yeah, he was married to her and he divorced her, he got out, but he realized what it was really about. It was about her flipping and reversing and asking for more and more money. That is exactly what your Delilah energy in the masculine's life is doing. Delilah energy is ruled by scorpionic energy, which is the eighth house. It is hidden enemies. It's obsession. It's manipulation, and it's other people's money. Amber Heard is directly operating out of scorpionic energy, and so does Delilah. It's also sexuality. The Scorpio is ruled, the area in our body that Scorpio rules is our genitals. So that people often mistake Scorpios as incredibly great in bed, and yes, in a higher vibration, best you've ever had. In a lower vibration, the most depraved you've ever been. That's the truth. And it's Delilah energy through and through. Toxic. Let's talk about a lower vibrational Scorpio energy so you get my point. Sean P. Diddy Combs is a lower vibrational scorpionic energy. He is manipulative. He lies. Everything he touches flourishes for his life, but he never can bring that to other people's for any level of sustainability. He's like the court jester that brings people in. And people say this again and again, that I ended up at Diddy's party and I was on a yacht, and how did I get here? He was giving me clothes, and then I was sponsoring things that I didn't know, and then whatever. He's a slice of the devil's pie. He pulls you in insidiously. It's said over and over. The contracts didn't clear. The check didn't clear. He still owes me money. Lower vibrational Scorpio energy, never faithful to any of his partners. What is his sexuality? Nobody knows. Allegedly. You understand? That is lower vibrational scorpionic energy, but he will convince you of a thing. And that's what Delilah will do. That's the energy that lower vibrational Scorpio energy brings. And that is what you're watching with Amber and Johnny, but your person was your Johnny. Doesn't mean they were perfect, but it does mean that at some point you had communication, you had a relationship, you're not crazy, but they wanted to go where they thought it was more fun, baby. And the devil said, thank you, we'll take it from here. And exactly they did. And they cut your masculine's energetic and proverbial hair. And they said, now you figure out how to break out of here without the real feminine whispering in your ear. Will the real feminine please stand up and tell all these hating ass Delilahs to shut the F up? Real feminine, you stood up, but this time you did it for yourself. That is integrated masculine. and feminine energy. That was you taking care of yourself no matter what else had to be. May the odds ever be in whoever your toxic or distorted masculine's favor, because they put you in the Hunger Games. They were not a good neighbor, a good friend, or a good partner. They ran happily to Delilah, and now they're on trial. They're lip syncing for their life over there, and they miss your smile, and they miss your warmth, they miss your hugs, they probably miss your good sexy time, they miss your love, they miss your food, they miss your cleanliness, they miss your energy. But they made their choice thinking that they were in control of something, only to really see that Delilah was controlling happily the whole time. Message. So good sharing energy with you guys this morning. I hope that made sense. Thanks for going with me on my journey. Thank you, angels, for those downloads today. Put them together in any way that feels right to you. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.